What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of Bucs Latest on the Fan Arch Network. I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time. And for Go Bucs Nation and Go Bucs fans, it's your time. Remember, like and subscribe to Bucs Latest on the Fan Arch Network. So let's get into it here, as the main report of the day from our friends at Joe Bucs Fan is Lavonte David had arthroscopic knee surgery following last season on his ailing knee that had drained weekly during the 2025 campaign. The surgery was successful, Joe Bucs Fan has learned, and David rehabbed under Bucs supervision for a stretch at team headquarters in Tampa. Now, this should not be a surprise. Two things here. David, about a month ago, talked about a knee injury and nobody really knew about it, although you could see the 36-year-old linebacker at the time struggling to be the same type of player, go sideline to sideline, have that fluidity, right? As we talk about here with having the athletic prowess and being able to make plays like he's able to do, being able to cover. A lot of the time last year, he looked a little bit slower. And again, is that father time maybe catching up to him? Absolutely. Could it also be this knee injury? Certainly it was. And then we heard from Jason Light about a week ago, as he was on a local radio station, say that David was rehabbing at the Bucs facility. We also heard from David that he still got a lot of football left in me. So it seems like he's uncertain, but he's talked about this on the podcast over and over again, and it certainly seems like he's having second thoughts, because when the Bucs beat the Panthers and he had the press conference, it certainly seemed like he was done. He didn't have to accomplish anything more. He won a Super Bowl, of course, Super Bowl 55. He tied Derrick Brooks all time, but it certainly seems like from his comments recently to all these podcasts that he has a bad taste in his mouth and he doesn't want to go out on an injury-filled season. So I expect him to come back. Now, the main question is not only will he be ready in time for the season, what kind of effect is it going to be, but also how much will the Bucs pay him? Will they get a discounted rate? Will he be interested in a discounted rate? We know that the ball is in his court at this point when it comes to David coming back, because we know that Jason Light and Todd Bowles want him to come back, but they're respecting him like they're doing with Mike Evans, which we'll get back to in a moment, on his decision to take some time. But really, to me, in my opinion, I think he is coming back for his 15th season. Mark it down, put it down. Lavonte David does not retire this year. He comes back for his 15th season. What do you think about these recent reports from Lavonte David? Does it give you cause for pause? Once again, do you want him back? Do you think this is the main reason why he would come back in 2026? Put the comments in the box on Bucs Latest on the Fan Arch Network. Now, let's go into our second story of the day. And once again, Mike Evans rumors are swirling. A prediction here, and we'll just go out to that. NBC Sports is, I almost say, what I want to say NBA, because they got the NBA now. But it's a different show. NBC Sports' Matthew Berry notes he got the sense at the Combine that the Buccaneers were bracing for Mike Evans to leave. In fact, he has this to say: if you're reading the tea leaves, however, you may buckle up for what could be a sad parting of ways between Evans and the franchise's greatest wide receiver of all time. I truly believe Evans will be in a new uniform next year. He says the Buccaneers love him, but given the commitment they made to Chris Godwin last year in a deep, young, wide receiving room, Tampa Bay is okay letting him go elsewhere. I heard Buffalo, which we talked about as a favorite with Josh Allen, new coach there, and Joe Brady calling the plays. And another one, which Buccaneer fans, cover your ears, because I know you don't want to hear this, possibly with the Philadelphia Eagles, because A.J. Brown looks like he's on the trading block. So I could not fathom seeing Mike Evans in a Buffalo Bills uniform, New England uniform, Houston Texans uniform. But please, save me the despair, if you will, if he's in a Philadelphia Eagle uniform. Now, Jeremy Fowler has this to say. Of course, he had the report yesterday, as we talked about, with all the qualifications, according to Evans and his agent. He says Tampa Bay does check a lot of those boxes. He also said the Bucs will make a hard run at keeping Evans. They met with his agent this past Thursday. So my question is, because we've talked about it, do you think, or should the Bucs bring back Mike Evans? Do you think, Bucs fans, go Bucs Nation there, that they will sign him before the legal tampering period happens in 6 days? Or will they let him test free agency? And then even if they let him test free agency, does Evans and his people give Jason Licht first refusal? Say the Houston Texans offer him $20 to $21 million. They come back to Jason Licht and say, this is what I got offered. Can you match it? I think that's more of a possibility at this point. Put it in the comments there on Bucs Latest on the Fan Arch Network. I was so excited coming in. That's why I had the Maxx Crosby rumors. Although these are not really that exciting, to tell you the truth, because there's one problem with this. Albert Breer says Maxx Crosby could get traded this week to the Cowboys, Bears, Ravens, Bills, Patriots, Eagles, and Rams, keeping tabs on his availability. Do you know what team is not included in that? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, does that necessarily mean that's not going to happen? As somebody told me off air, they're not going to tell you everything they're doing. They're doing it behind the scenes. And of course, Jason Licht have an opportunity to most likely talk to his old colleague and John Spytek. Of course, Tom Brady has some minority ownership, so you know that he'll have some say in this decision. And with the Raiders and what they're looking at right now, drafting a Mendoza, you get a first-round pick, you get a wide receiver to add to that offense. It certainly would make sense to make a deal with one of those teams, especially the Bucs. Even though the Bucs are not on that list, doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to happen. In fact, Pewter Report asked Jason Licht about this at the Combine last week, and he said, I'm not opposed about making a blockbuster trade. He said that this is what he was responding to because he was asked about making a blockbuster trade. He said, I'm not opposed. I wouldn't say that it's in my DNA to refrain from doing those things. It's got to be right. It's got to be the right trade. It's got to be the right player. It's a lot of factors that go into it. It's the age of the player, the injury history of the player, and what else besides draft capital you have to give up. Once again, talking about the flexibility that we can maintain. So I'm not opposed to those things. You have to just see where things go. Of course, lots of decisions need to be made. And you know that the Bucs Brain Trust is doing that right now as we speak. And they're getting ready for free agency to start. Again, the legal tampering period next Monday. And then, of course, the new league year on Wednesday at 4 o'clock. So what do you think of these rumors? Just rumors? Did the Bucs get into this? Or once again, too rich for their blood? Do you want them, Bucs fans, or not? The rumors seem to suggest the Cowboys, Bears, Ravens, Bills, Patriots, Eagles, and Rams are keeping tabs on his availability, but the Bucs are not in that. Do you believe it? Put it in the comment box there on Bucs Latest on the Fan Arch Network. Now, other rumors going around about pass rushers not named Maxx Crosby, because I know some of you are just tired of hearing about the Crosby rumors, but we got to cover it here on Bucs Latest. This, according to ProFootballRumors.com, they say the list of free agent edge rushers contains older options with the Bucs, looking at Khalil Mack, Trey Hendrickson, and Bradley Chubb. Others such as Jalen Phillips, Odafe Owe, and Kwity Paye, which we haven't mentioned him, are of course testing the market for the first time in their careers. With nearly $21 million in cap space as things stand, Tampa Bay should be able to afford at least a modest free agent edge investment. The Bucs also have 7 picks in April's draft, so adding a rookie will be feasible as well. Now, we know that Jason Licht is open to being more flexible, whether it's restructuring Baker Mayfield, Antoine Winfield Jr., Tristan Wirfs. I mean, there's plenty of opportunities. Maybe even a Vita Vea. You restructured that contract to free up money. Antoine Winfield Jr. comes to mind to go out there and get an edge rusher. Say a Trey Hendrickson. We've talked about him on this show. $20 to $25 million. Is it a risk? Absolutely. 31 years old, coming off an injury. A core back injury, that's risky. But here's a player who this would definitely knock it out of the park. 81 sacks, a double-digit sack monster. He also played for the Saints and terrorized the Bucs for so many years. So you bring him back to the NFC South to do the same thing to the Saints. That's a win-win situation. So once again, we'll see what the Bucs do when free agency starts. We're just 6 days away. The time just keeps on rolling on here on Bucs Latest. What do you say about those rumors? Who would you like out of that list? Throw it in there in the comment box on Bucs Latest on the Fan Arch Network. Let's move on to the last story of the day, and that would be mock drafts because they're out there. And, of course, we'll go ahead and start out with NFL.com, and this is from Buccaneers.com. Nate Davis of NFL.com has a surprise, and it continues to be a shocker for me. I want to know what you Bucs fans think about this. Of course, Bucs Nation. The pick at number 15 would be Kenyon Sadiq from Oregon, the first tight end in combine history to record a sub 4.440. Sadiq also has a 43.5-inch vertical. Certainly made some money over the past few days. He only give quarterback Baker Mayfield another downfield weapon. This offense might need a partial reload with Mike Evans and Cade Otton currently unsigned for 2026. So it remains to be seen if the Bucs once again re-sign an Evans, as we talked about ad nauseum on this show, and also Cade Otton. He could receive interest around the league where the Bucs go, you know what? It's not worth it. We're not going to overpay for an Otton who, 2 years in a row, 59 catches, but really inconsistent, not necessarily the best blocker. So maybe they move on, and that's where you move on. I mean, Bucs fans, are you looking to draft? Do you think Jason Light should draft a player like Sadiq? I mean, if he's the best player on the board, and I get it, you have a need at linebacker. I get it. You have a need at the edge rusher, maybe even a corner situation, defensive tackle. If Sadiq is the best player on the board, are you okay with Jason Light drafting a tight end at number 15? Yeah, I go back to this because I was talking about this on my show tonight. Go all the way back to 2007, kind of aging myself out. The draft rumor at the time was John Gruden wanted to trade up for Calvin Johnson. Of course, he turned into a Hall of Famer. The Bucs at the time needed a defensive end. They drafted Gaines Adams. But what people don't consider is who was on the board at the time that the Bucs passed on. That would be Adrian Peterson. He was the best player on the board. Instead, they went with the need instead of going with the best player. Adrian Peterson most likely will be a Hall of Famer, but the reason why the Bucs didn't draft him in the first place is because they already had Cadillac Williams. So going back to it, what do you do? Do you draft the best player on the board, or do you draft for need? Put the comments in the box there, and we will definitely talk about it. Now, CBS Sports' Mike Renner says they go with interior lineman Spencer Fano. The Buccaneers could look to bolster their guard position, which was an issue for much of 2025. Spencer Fano was a tackle at Utah, but looks best suited for the interior in the NFL. Here's my problem with this. I get it. You want to draft offense. You want to build your offensive line. But Light just came out this week. And again, he's not going to give it away. But he feels good about this guard situation. Whether it's Ben Bredesen at the left guard, you have, of course, Graham Barton. You invested a first-round pick at center. Kind of took a step back, but I think that's more of the injuries to both guards. And then, of course, you got Cody Malk at the right guard situation. So I think they're pretty set there at the interior line. Once again, it goes back to it. Do you want to draft a guy at 15 for depth purposes who most likely is not going to start unless you're moving on from a guard? That, to me, does not make sense. Now, the Draft Network's Jamie Eisner has the Bucs taking, and I'm looking right now at my notes as he has them taking also, which is a surprise here once again, Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end from Oregon. He says, as he showed at the NFL Combine, Kenyon Sadiq is an explosive elite athlete who brings game-changing speed to the tight end position. He had elite jumps of 43.5-inch vertical, which once again means he's explosive with his nature, an 11'2" broad jump, and a crazy fast 40-yard dash, 4.39. Sadiq could line up all over the formation as a strong blocker in the run game. He has potential to step in immediately as a key target for Baker Mayfield while helping open run lanes for Bucky Irving. Now, Pro Football Focus's Trevor Sikkema has something different, which I think is more possible at this point, and I think Bucs fans would agree. Akeem Mesidor, Miami. Now, here's the thing with him. The reason why a lot of people will stay away from him is they'll say, well, he's 25 years old. So you draft him in the next 5 to 6 years, how old will he be? He'll be over 30 years old. So is this a guy that you want to invest in? And I say at this point, you need pass rushing help. So if he's 25 years old, first and foremost, he's highly productive at Miami, and we'll get back to that in a moment. But on top of it, you don't have to worry about a kid. He's mature. So go for it because the window is still open. The window has to be open because Todd Bowles at this point is definitely on the hot seat, possibly with Jason Light. You got to get players that are coming here right away and transition, and we know how difficult that is for defensive linemen and edge rushers to do that. Just doesn't happen. Sikkema says Mesidor didn't participate in any of the combine testing, which was mostly expected after Miami's long season. He was one of the best pass rushers in all of college football this season, logging an elite 92.5 Pro Football Focus pass rush grade, 6th best among draft-eligible edge defenders, and would immediately be Tampa Bay's best edge rusher. Boom. There it is. That, to me, is your pick if he's there at 15. Of course, you know I love Sonny Styles. I just don't think he's going to be there. Cassius Howe, he may not be there, but if he is, that's the guy also. You could definitely look at those potential positions, if you will. And then the Athletic has linebacker Sonny Styles, Ohio State. I don't think he's going to be there. I think it's a pipe dream, but they say even if Lavonte David returns, the Bucs linebacking core needs help. Styles, a former safety, is a great athlete with plenty of college production. He was the Buckeyes' second leading tackler during the 2024 National Championship season and #1 last fall. So there you go. There's your mock drafts when it comes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Again, just mock drafts, just predictions. We'll throw it out there. Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end. Are you okay with Jason Light going with the best player on the board, or would you rather go with the need? Put the comments in the box. Remember, like and subscribe to Bucs Latest on the Fan Arch Network. We'll wrap it up right there. I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time. And for Go Bucs Nation and Bucs fans, it's your time. We'll see you next time here on Bucs Latest, a part of the Fan Arch Network. And as we always say to end off the show, Go Bucs.